my name is Beck and welcome to my video. Today we're going to be talking about the idea of killing things out of convenience. If you like this video, please give it a like and hit subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Or if you'd like to check out my other social media, the links to that are in the description down below, along with my Etsy shop where you can buy personal tarot readings by me, or clothing or crystal jewelry. Also, if you'd like to help me with my projects and putting out my content, I do have a GoFundMe, which you can donate to in the description as well. Alright, so let's off to the video. So, this is kind of an interesting topic, but I had a really interesting experience over the last few days. And I find this happens the most with bugs and things of that nature, but honestly, it happens on a mass scale with people. It happens on a mass scale with animals. And I really wanted to talk about it. So, there's this idea that if you don't see the worth in another being, it's okay to kill them. And I'm not gonna lie, when I was eating meat before I became vegan, that seemed perfectly reasonable because there were certain beings that were lesser than others. And that's just how it went down. Like, that's just life. But something that happened to me when I became vegan, which I completely didn't expect, was this idea of really seeing another being, no matter what it was, and seeing its inherent value in the whole scheme of things. This also stems from my spiritual beliefs of believing everything is consciousness and that everything is connected. Now, I want to state for the record, I understand that, like, if you take this to, like, the ridiculous level of, like, everything, you wouldn't be able to function. Like, you'd be freaking out because if you had a sickness, you wouldn't want to take an antibiotic, or, you know, like, you wouldn't be able to walk anywhere. But, like, I really had this very interesting idea of, yeah, we do maybe kill or destroy things just by living and just by functioning, but there's a difference between that and killing things because something's inconvenient, even if it's not, like, super bothering you. So I was watching this video the other day, I forget who it was one of my spiritual teachers, and it was talking about the idea of, you know, humans versus monkeys, how it seems like even though we have a similar maybe ancestor, how different we are. And they were talking about what it would be like to meet maybe an extraterrestrial that had the same difference between us and apes, you know, like if they had like the consciousness and awareness compared to us that we have to monkeys, if that makes sense. And this was not really the point they made, but I had this thought, I was like, oh my god, like, if those beings came to Earth and thought it was okay to cage us, to, you know, kill us, to take us away from our children, we would be mortified. We would be like, why don't you understand? Why don't you understand that we are also conscious, that we also have feelings and all of these things? But what if they couldn't see that within us? What if they were just so much more advanced that they're like, psh, humans, like, whatever? And it really made me think of, like, just because we see a differentiation between us and, say, apes or us and other animals, how do we know that we aren't doing the same thing? You know, something I talked to my dad about last year was this idea of how do we know a being isn't conscious or thinking or having an emotion? And he said, well, they don't communicate that to us. And I said, so are we implying that just because we don't have a common language that they aren't as advanced mentally? You know, and then they say, well, they don't wear clothes and they don't have society. But, like, let's be real, birds and horses have a lot less stressful life than we do. And they're a lot more connected to the earth. How do we know that they're not more advanced because they've figured out how to genuinely live with nature? Like, we don't know that. And I think it's very arrogant to assume that we do. I am not saying that they are as, you know, consciously aware or more advanced than us. But the fact is, we don't know. And the idea is that, yeah, if that extraterrestrial race came to us, they may do it out of ignorance. They may slave us and make us pets out of ignorance because they genuinely are like, oh, we can't communicate with them. We don't understand why they do X, Y, and Z. They're so, you know, primal. And so that really started making me think about my relationship to the beings around me. So I've been thinking a lot about this idea of killing out of convenience, especially with bugs. In the last year or two, and this is before I became vegan, I really started getting very like bothered when someone would kill a spider or kill a bug that wasn't like really necessary to kill. Like, okay, I will preface this by saying I really hate mosquitoes and ticks. But the thing is they cause us diseases, and they also, are very in our space. Like, it's very violating sometimes. And so I understand why people kill them, in the sense of like there is this like almost attack, they're literally attacking our body. But there are so many beings and animal, like mice, rats, and of course there's always like a differentiation between like if they're really affecting us versus just like living in the same space. But even more so with spiders and these different animals, there'll be a fly in the house and someone will kill it. And the fact is they're killing that being because it's inconveniencing them. And it might not even because it's like physically bothering them, but the sound is inconvenient. And I just thought about this concept of like, wow, like that's really intense. Like, you are essentially killing a being for existing. And think about that like on like a mass scale. Like, how crazy is that? And we could go into the idea that the government does that and other people do that, and that's horrifying. And then you do it to this other being, this sentient being that maybe isn't figuring out a computer, but is living, is reproducing, is eating, it has some sort of drive. We have this idea, we look at them, we're like, why does it fly around? Why is it like that? But like, they have a reason to do that. As a conscious or a piece of consciousness, it's experiencing the world just like we are. We might be having a different experience, but it is still source experiencing itself. So a few days ago, I was in my room, and I'd had a bag of cashews on my floor. And a few days ago, I looked down and I saw that there was all this like white powder like around the bag, and I was like, what the hell is that? And I looked down and there was all these little ants, and they must have eaten through the bag because the bag was like full of them. And they were like, eating all this powder, and then there was this really long line of ants, right? And at first I was like, oh God, like, ew, what is that? And then, but I was kind of watching them. I've been watching animals more, really observing instead of just taking them for granted. And so I was watching these ants, and they're so fascinating. They really are. And so I was like, oh God, like I really, I don't want them in my room, blah, blah, but I was like, why does this bother me so much? They're not bothering me. Like, they weren't in the kitchen, they weren't messing with our food, it was just a food source. Like, they probably were like, woohoo, it's a food source, we're gonna be fed for so many, weeks on this. And I was just like, why would I deprive them of that and their lives? Like, that seems a bit harsh. And so I just kind of left it there. It was kind of late at night, and so I was just like, okay, whatever. And the next morning I woke up and they were still there, and I was like, okay, you guys still chugging along. And I was kind of watching them, and so eventually I was like, all right, there's a huge bag of nuts here. They're going to be here for like, a month. So I did decide to pick up the bag and throw it out. I didn't kill any of them. They can, if they can figure out how to get back, cool. But, like I needed to, clean up. But I left them, I didn't want to kill them all. And, I was just like, look, I'm sure they'll move on when the food source is gone. And there was one night where I actually moved something, and then I realized I'd like run over them, and I was like, oh my God, I killed them. And so I like moved it back, and it's a bit of an, like, an emotional response, but I genuinely felt it. Like, that's the thing. Like, if you want to be conscious of life, it's, it's okay to feel, it's okay to have a response, don't lose yourself over it, but like, it's okay to care. Like, that's okay. And so I just have had this, feeling of, if something's in my space, why am I feeling inconvenienced by its experience? I wouldn't want something else to feel inconvenienced by my experience and wipe me off the face of the earth. And so, recently, like I was in the park, and like I wanted to sit down on the bench and everyone sat down, but there was a little ant where I was gonna sit, and I was like, all right, move along. Like, I'm not gonna like just sit down. Like, I wanted to honor that being. And so basically, you know, with these ants, they, you know, they were just doing their thing. They weren't bothering me. And so I thought, why would I kill them? Like, what did they do to deserve a death sentence just, you know, just for finding food? Like, that's what they do. It's a part of their nature. You know, they're not attacking me. It was okay. So I made this video because I got up this morning and they were gone. You know, they'd been there for a few days and they moved on. And I just thought that was kind of beautiful. You know, so many people would have been like, oh my God, and just like wiped them out, you know? But here's the thing, is they get to go on and live their life, and I'm living my life, and I can honor that experience between the two of us, and you know, just appreciate the beautiful expression that they are of Source. And so I wanted to just kind of make this video because it kind of hit home to me, like, for me, like, I was like, wow, like, I really care. Like, it wasn't just like, oh, I'm vegan, I can't do it. It was more like, no, I actually genuinely care about these beings. Like, they are little living, breathing, magical beings, you know, and they have family systems and they have a home, and they, you know, it's wow. So I just wanted to bring this kind of perspective, and I'm not suggesting that, you know, we have crosswalks for bugs. Like I said, it's not really, you know, logical or practical to, you know, have this be like, oh, they have rights, you know, but I think it is important to distinguish the idea of just living and functioning, and, you know, there's a circle of life, it is happened, but this idea of, you know, we do move through different beings, you know, just that's how we live, but this idea of killing out of convenience or because something is inconveniencing you, I feel is kind of cold. I think it's kind of, it's not honoring another being, you know, in your space, and it's not really taking life seriously. So I just wanted to put that out there. It's something I've been thinking about, and I do feel lighter. I do feel, I'm glad. Like, I'm glad. There's something really special about honoring another being and really, like, being, you know, in a symbiotic relationship and really just saying, like, hey, I see you, I'm here, you're here, we're all living in the same space. I can't protect you, but I don't have to harm you either. That's, you know, that's not what I'm here to do. So anyway, if you guys have any questions or comments, please leave them down in the description down below. I always like hearing from you guys, and I love communicating with you. Also, don't forget to give it a like if you enjoyed this video, give it a share if you thought the message was useful, and hit subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Hope you all have a wonderful day, many blessings, namaste. And don't forget, it's all about the soul journey. Bye!